Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I know everybody's busy on this Thanksgiving Monday. We've got a short but probably fairly intense week. As you know, this is the level set update. Just want you to know that the session is being recorded, and I will send a copy to you all. I'm going to send a link to both the morning and afternoon sessions. I think it would be wise to watch a full version of one of those and check both the Q&A sessions out at the end. A lot of good stuff probably coming up today, and it was this morning. I've muted all your phones for now during the presentation, but you can ask questions via the chat function during the presentation, and then we're going to have an open Q&A session at the end. So what does level set mean? Just a kind of, I guess, a cool, catchy title we put on this thing, but I was talking with one of the district sales managers, John Quinn, last week, both as usual, driving around in our cars to and from dealerships. I've been talking with all the district sales managers virtually every day. We're making sure we're on top of things and providing everybody with the best support possible to be successful at this thing. And John just said he felt like we need to level set. Maybe everybody needed to get their head around all the dynamics of this great program. So I looked up level set and net lingo, and it's a great, it's an appropriate concept for what we're doing today. Getting everyone on the same page or bringing everyone up to speed so they all have the same basic understanding of a situation or a project. I think we're there, but hopefully the idea is to tighten things up just a little bit. So what we're going to do is talk about two avenues to work this program. You have two ways to see which customers are opening up emails, reacting, and work that and you can in turn react to that customer. I'm going to focus on some screenshots from the portal, the pre-approval area, and highlights of some key features there just to clarify. I've been getting a lot of different questions, talking with the district sales managers. We're realizing that some folks maybe haven't had that 40,000 foot look at this whole thing. So hopefully we'll clarify some loose ends. I'm going to look at a few key data points, just take a couple minutes on that. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bruce Thompson, the CEO of Pearl Solutions. He's going to say a few things, based on how the flow of this thing goes, and we'll open it up to Q&A while Bruce is up on an open mic. Okay, so I mentioned the two avenues to get this thing going. First and foremost is that RPM, a pretty amazing tool, rapid proactive messaging. You handle that from your cell phone. You should have already provided names to Pearl Solutions to handle your prospects. If you haven't, or if you need to make changes, send that info to chevy@pearlsolutions.com. There's an excellent instructional video on the RPM system. There's a URL. I'll be sending this link to you. You can also get it right from your cell phone, go into help, and you can access the video right there once you're logged in to the system. And the second avenue to work the program is the portal from your desktop, and that'll be today's focus. Okay, so when you click the link and use your login and your password, this is the landing page. You land on the pre-approval section, and what I'd like to do is just walk through that top customer in that top area to make sure everybody's aware of what you have at your disposal and how flexible a tool this is. So first, let's look at that number 2 there to the left of the first customer. What that tells you is that customer currently has 2 active auto loans. Okay, you can get additional information by clicking expand. I'm not going to do that during this presentation, but you can expand that customer record and you can see what the amount of the loan is, what the monthly payment is, etc. in all cases. So that's pretty good intel into things. Hang on here. We have a quick message. Every time I get an RPM alert, when I click on the text message, I get a message, customer info is not valid and not available. That's interesting. Hang on here. Hey, Bruce, I unmuted you. I'll read that one again. Every time.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
go get it. I'll go get an answer on that while you're talking here.
Yeah,
When
man.
we get to the Q&A. Okay.
All right. Good deal. Steve, we're on that, baby. Okay. So thank you. Thank you for the question. Keep them coming. I'll do my best to keep an eye on that right side of the screen. Again, so you can, we're looking at that first customer. You can initially tell how many auto loans they've got, and you can get details on that. Obviously, you will see the customer's name. You'll see the salesperson or the BDC rep who's assigned to that person. You can see the customer status. Now, you control that. That's going to depend on you. As you take action, you click on and let the system know. Very similar to the CRM. What happens in the CRM when you send an email, make a phone call, etc. Hopefully, we're documenting there. It's the same deal. What you do here is hit that drop down to the right, and there's a whole bunch of options on that customer status. Email sent, presented, did a test drive, etc., etc., etc. And remember, it is important that you update customer status after each action taken. Really, really important. Continuing to the right, nice function, which I know many of you have already used, is that email function. So I'll talk in a moment. When you see right here that thumbs up, that means that's an actionable customer. That means they opened the email that was sent, and that'll let you know. What you can do at this point is send that customer an email, either one that's developed for you by Pearl Solutions or create your own. You simply click on the email. You'll see this screen right here, and then you can select a template. And you have a wide variety to choose from. And here's an example of the lease pull forward. That'll have the customer's name in the to block. It'll have your email in the from block with a nice subject, and of course this. And you can tinker with it. The wording on it. Question came up this morning about the title. If you would like a different one, just let the folks at Pearl know. If it's BDC manager or sales manager or whatever it is, you can let them know, and they can adjust that to your particular email. Okay, and please note that you can also create your own emails. That's been a very frequent question. You can build your own. It's your choice. I've seen it done both ways. It's like cooking in the kitchen, man. You do what you're most comfortable with and what works best, but you do have a lot of flexibility there. Okay, continuing on that first customer, you'll know what tier they're in from a credit standpoint, A, B, or C. You'll know the payment that they're making every month on the lease that we're targeting, the number of payments left, and the estimated balance. You'll also know, as I mentioned earlier, if they're actionable. Actionable being defined as a customer or a prospect who opened the email that was sent to them. Up top, you can see that you can export the data to Excel, and I would encourage if you haven't already done that, I would encourage you to do that as a safeguard. Just maintain that on your desktop or in your CRM if it allows. Also, you can enable a bulk send over to your CRM. And at the top is a really cool function. I was talking to Bruce Thompson, as I mentioned, from Pearl, and John Quinn, one of the district sales managers, as we were getting ready for the call. And after this morning's call, I got quite a few calls, and it wasn't with problems or challenges. It was saying, help me get creative in building, filtering through advanced search so we can structure this thing based on our sales consultants, BDC reps, etc. So that was pretty exciting. So on that note, let's take a look at that advanced search. So here we go. You just click that upper right there, and it brings you into a world. I compare this. The comparison I would make on this is to, I've worked with many of you, for instance, on playbook campaigns, or perhaps the GM provided manifest, where we go in, we get a manifest, we pull it to Excel, we save it to desktop or CRM, and then we start getting busy with what I like to call the chemistry. Where we're filtering and we're sorting and getting it clean so you can have a manageable campaign or work effort over a week or so. You can do the same with this. This is basically saying that if you have 800 names or 1,500 or 2,000, whatever you have out there. You can only work so many, and you want to obviously work the most likely to be interested in purchasing. So let's go through this step by step on what your options are. So you can pick the customers by their lead status, not started. That's the default if nothing's been done. You might want to pull that and check. A good thing is we're going to find out in a few minutes. Again, you can click actionable, hitting not started, actionable, and search. That's not a bad first step, because what you can do right there is say, we've been negligent. We have not responded to all of our customers who have opened the email. It is a minimum. And Bruce has been at this a while. His strongest recommendation is that we go ahead and send an email, a nice complimentary email to the one that was originally sent out, and kind of go from there. Next, you can go by customer status. Again, not started, wrong number, follow up, lost sale, text sent, email sent. Pick your poison. Obviously, we're going to try to pull customers with some active interaction. You can also track it by leads that you sent to the to the CRM. The little bit, we've only been at this a week and a half now, and I've been in quite a few dealers as the district managers have. But what I've seen is, as you get a response or you have some interaction, some viable interaction, now it's time to drop that into the CRM and work it like we do any other lead, whether it's inbound digital lead or one of our campaigns from Playbook or one of our manifests. Contact type. You can pull those who you've emailed, phoned, or both. That's another great option you've got. This one with the Expiring loan, this is really cool. I mentioned it up front. You can see how many loans they've got. This enables you can go in there and they categorize them by the number of loans they've got, etc. Enables you to determine if the customer has additional loans and or leases in their name before you contact them. Not a bad thing. And it's already happened at a few locations. I've seen where they've gotten the garage made, if you will. It's actually been a Chevrolet owner wound up getting into one of the new got into a new Chevy based on the fact that they were a garage mate with a Conquest, but they wound up making a deal on the Chevy, which was kind of cool. Different incentives, obviously, but bottom line is you got them in there. The great thing would be if we can get two sales per household, right? And then who you assigned it to. You could also filter and sort it by that, which of your sales consultants. And that's a very talented sales team, this particular dealership, as you can see. And I understand they have some very good entertainment at their annual Christmas parties. Credit tier, you can pull it out by that, A, B, or C, depending on their credit rating. This is a very cool and commonly used feature, and I'm going to show you best practice in about 5 seconds. When you get to this, you'll notice there's no drop downs. You just lay your cursor and punch in where it says payment left greater than. Click on there, and then you can put like 0, and then to the right of that you can put another number less than, and then you can narrow down. You're going to have folks out there with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I saw up to 10 payments remaining. So maybe we want to work the folks who are closer to the termination of that lease and get them aware of the offers and get them in there. And then actionable only, you can click that. That's another great filter. Again, actionable being customers who open the email. Very important part of this process. You'll see that thumb up on their record on the previous page. Again, really important that we stay on top of that. The biggest crime we could commit here is, and Bruce can correct me when he gets on, is having an actionable prospect and having no action taken. I would always virtually describe that as unacceptable at this point, and we have to strike sensibly and quickly. So here's the best practice on this advanced search feature, and it's been done at quite a few dealers, with a little bit of mix in the various factors. So the concept is, like we do with Playbook, break your follow-up prospects down into smaller segments to focus on. If you have a sales consultant, a business development representative who feels it's almost overwhelming and you get stagnant looking at all the names, say, well, let's Let's nail that down and let's get a sensible chunk of those names to work on today and make sure we're communicating properly. So as I mentioned earlier, select specific payments left. For example, payments left, type in 0 on the greater than, and then type in 5 on payments left less than. That will give you 1 to 4 payments. Just a suggestion, you can make it 1 to 3, 1 to 5, whatever, depending on the number of clients you got. But the bottom line is you've now narrowed this down to folks who are nearing the end, the termination of that lease. Then what you could do is, hit assign to. So you could say, I'm going to break this down. I have 4 people dedicated to this project. So what we're going to do is create 4, come in on a Monday. We're going to create 4 segments, 1 per sales consultant or business development representative. And then again, actionable. You click that on, boom, you got an actionable customer. They've opened it up. And now you have viable candidates to look at what you've done so far and what might be the next sensible step to reach out to this customer. And you obviously can filter this to your needs, but it's a very cool tool. I'm very excited about it. I'm even more excited after this morning. Like I said, I got quite a few calls, and it was about creative ways to go ahead and do this advanced search. So some key data points, you're going to now start receiving daily updates. As you can see, again, a very talented team right here, very, very high paid team. But you'll see daily the folks that you've designated to receive the leads. You're going to get an update on each of those daily. If you look down there, looking at the legend at the bottom, sent, number of leads assigned through RPM distribution, open, number of leads viewed by the user, worked, number of leads that show an action being performed upon them by the user, percentage open, obviously, percentage of leads, and percentage worked. That means there's some activity that was taking place. So in this case, we have Mr. John Lennon. He's gotten 12, hasn't done a thing. Probably need to have a conversation with Mr. Lennon about paying the bills and all that sort of thing. Mr. McCartney, on the other hand, is doing great. Got 12, open 12, worked 12. He's rocking. Mr. Harrison doing pretty well, etc. Mr. Starkey, it looks like we got to get John and Ringo. We got to have a talk with those guys and get it going. Additionally, you're going to get weekly reports. Same legend, same key data points. Again, it gives managers and individuals an opportunity to see how well we're focused on this. By the way, all of from the zone manager down to the district managers, Bruce Thompson, myself, we understand that this is not the only show in town. We know that you are multitasking. You've got a lot of different things you're working on, but these kinds of tools will enable you to keep your eye on the ball and not get negligent if you get sidebarred on another project or hopefully a couple of busy days selling vehicles. As a review, the LMA, the Philly LMA, has a pretty assertive and sensible plan to communicate these offers to the customers. On the 10th, we back up a little bit. We did the initial training, Bruce and his team, on the 8th and 9th of November. We did the first email drop on the 10th. We did a hard mail on the 13th, 1 week ago. And then midweek last week, we did another email drop. Another one's due on the 24th, Friday, and then a 27th, another email drop. And then in December, it continues. The 8th email, as you can see, 18th, etc. The magic of this thing, where the street smarts comes in on this, is how do we sensibly communicate in between all of these communications? And that's the thing to think about. And by the way, those emails that are provided so far, what I've looked at and read as I've worked with dealers is they're very they're kind of informative. They're quick to the point, have a friendly tone to them, and they're not intrusive. And just keep that in mind as these customers are receiving all this correspondence. I know we get worried about saturation. Okay, so here's the customer support. Again, I'm going to include this. I'm going to email the link to this recording to everybody. I'll include any links that I've shown you along the way, and of course, these numbers. But that's the customer support number up at Pearl Solutions. Anytime you're talking about this, just select option 1, which is vehicle exchange, and explain that you're a dealer Philly LMA and you have a question about the Lease Conquest program. There's the email I mentioned earlier, Chevy@pearlsolutions.com. Pretty good. And if you, if you feel like they're not being responsive enough, let us know, and we'll make sure that you get taken care of. And we have the CEO on here right now, and he's jumping on, making sure you're taken care of. Brother Wagner, Jim Wagner, how you doing, Wags? How can I determine what vehicle they currently own or lease? Okay, good question. Came up this morning. Comes up a lot. You can't tell the vehicle, but we're looking to get where the segment that they're working in, Jim. That's the best I can do right now. Well, on that note, let me do this. We'll just turn it right over. I'd like to. That's all I've got right now, content-wise. We can certainly loop back if need be. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bruce Thompson, CEO of Pearl Solutions, and he's going to say a few words, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. Bruce, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Great job. Yeah, to answer Jim's question, what we are putting in, it should already be in there. If it's not, it will be by the end of the day. You're going to be able to see by propensity what vehicle they're likely to upgrade to. So is it a mid-level sedan, entry-level crossover, or SUV? So we'll be putting that on the record. So when you do call the customer, you'll be able to see that. It's not necessarily what they're in today that's so important. It's really what they're likely to be in. And, it's illegal by the FCRA rules to actually overlay or combine a registration database with a credit file. So what we do is we utilize our Experiring propensity database, looks at about 1,000 elements to make those determinations. Another great point that Kevin brought up earlier today was the payment range, right? So if the customer's paying $179 a month, it's quite likely he's not in a crossover. So based on the payment range, you can also have a good idea of what he may be in, but then also start to look at that propensity of what he is likely to want to upgrade to. And then to reiterate what Kevin is saying, it's a dual system, and the RPM I think is incredible. It allows you to follow up very, very quickly. You're going to get a text when we have a customer that's engaged, and the best practice there is to click that email button because that customer has engaged on an email. Email them back, put a status on him, and all that's going to translate right into the portal. So when you go into the portal, you can see that you sent the email and the status is updated as well. But that being said, you can use whatever platform you're most comfortable with. It works in both, and whatever you do in the portal is going to be visible on the RPM, the mobile, and whatever you do on the mobile is going to be obviously the same thing in the portal. Caution everybody, we're basically about 10 to 15%, into this program, and we are going to continue we email each week, and the emails will get more personalized. So the response, you actually had about a 16, 17% open rate this last weekend. We anticipate that's just going to increase. And, as customers, their leases start to terminate, get closer to maturity, they start to make decisions. So it's important that we just stay in front of them, and then we stay consistent, and then we remember that at a 3% close ratio, I'm going to have to follow up about 33 times for a conversion. But if we'll just stay consistent and email those customers back and communicate and follow the best practices that Kevin's laid out, I think we're going to be very successful here. So the reports that Kevin mentioned there, we will be sending those out daily. If you've not received those reports, send us an email. Make sure that you're on the email distribution list as a manager to get those daily reports. So you'll have a daily report, and then it'll give you the last 7-day recap as well. So you can see what's happening today from an alert perspective, and then also what's happened over the last week. So with that, when we open up to the floor, if you guys have any other questions, Steve Taylor, we're on your issue. And so I've got that to my dev team right now. So we're looking at that, and we will get that resolved for you. We'll call you, after the webinar is over to make sure that you're good to go.
Okay, so Galen Engel has a question. By the way, I just let you know, Jeff and John from General Motors, I unmuted you guys, so feel free to chime in here. I'll give you a moment to share your thoughts, but any questions you can answer certainly. So, Bruce, how do they these daily and weekly reports? How are they going to get to our clients?
Yeah, so those have already gone out. We sent the first one out on Friday. So if you were not on that distribution, then that means that we don't have you in the system as a designated, primary point of contact. So if you want to be added to that distribution, just give us a call or send us an email, and we'll get you set up here in the next few minutes.
So the bottom line is that's probably likely a general manager, a sales manager, Bruce, that was initially identified, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Good. Yeah. So, Galen, you know who to talk to. You probably want to get on that. Julie Lafferty has a question. Hi, Julie. Each time you send out a mass email, are they the same people or new people? I'll let you answer that, Bruce.
Yep. So there'll be progressive emails to these people on a weekly basis as their lease starts maturing. So, ultimately what we want to get to is at least a 40% overall open rate. So each and every week we will monitor the subject lines, the message that we're sending. We're going to look at what's very effective and we're going to modify. We will be adding about another 13,000 records to your leads. So I think we get the new database from Expiring tonight or tomorrow. So as soon as we have that, we will purge that again, and then our objective is to download another 13,000 and try to fill the allotments that we have. But we want to stay in front of these same customers to answer your question on a weekly basis, because every one of them are going to be making a decision, in the coming weeks and months.
Julie, I hope that answered your question. So we'll see. So basically, it's going to be that original bunch will be there, and then it sounds like incrementally add for at least a short period, Bruce. That won't happen for the next month and a half, but I would think early on. Is that correct, Bruce?
Yeah. So what you find is that, as these customers start to make their next lease payment and they get that invoice in the mail, if we're staying in front of them, then they remember, hey, I got that email that, from Chevrolet that basically is going to allow me to mature early. They start to make decisions. And so, if we'll stay in front of them and we stay consistent with our communication and we work them, what we see in New York, we're still seeing in New York, even though the program ended about 7-8 weeks ago, we're still seeing about 18 to 20 basis point conversions each month, because the dealers still have the list. The leases are still expiring, and we want to keep staying in front of these customers. So the list is what the list is, right? So it is a list of people that we know when their maturity date is, and we know what their payment is. So I think if we all realize that and we communicate at the end of the day and understand we're about 15% in to the program, we got to go with this thing on a weekly basis through the end of the year.
That's a good point. I think we had called up to I called my counterpart, plus we called the General Motors employees who worked up there in the New York metro area, and a few of the dealers, and pulling that data and getting it into your bottom line is getting a copy through Excel, if nothing else, and then managing the leads as you go forward. Pretty smart practice, because they're going to have access to this website. How long, Bruce, did you say? Through December 31st? Yep.
Yeah, we'll give them through January the 31st. So they'll have access to the portal, up until February.
Great. Okay, we have another question here. Yes, it was how to remove someone from the. So Julie Lafferty again. Yes, was how do we remove someone from the list? I had a prospect asked to be removed. What's the best practice there?
You can say do not contact, and I'm putting another status in there as well that basically says, I may be working with the customer, and so I don't want to keep emailing him anymore. So we're going to have a status for you that says no, do not contact. So when you put that status, we will pull that customer out of the communication cadence, and they won't be contacted again.
Okay, good. So what are the questions we got? Anybody else out there? I hope this chat works okay. You're welcome, Julie. I hope this works good. We tend when we unmute everybody, sometimes it gets a little spastic. So love to hear your voices. But hey, how about John Quinn? What's your thoughts on this? What questions you got for Bruce or comments for the folks in the field?
No question. I think you guys did a great job of covering everything. I think I would just reiterate what you guys have said. This is a numbers thing. We just got to get 100% response on all these prospects and just work them. You work so many, you get a response from so many. And Kevin, I think you said it early on. The ones that interact with your communication now, they're hot leads, so they need to be actively pursued by your BDC. The only other thing, again, to reiterate is that this is in addition to, we know you guys have a lot of other great databases with Playbook and equity mining and selling in the service land. We certainly understand that those are a focus as well, but we certainly hope that this will be supplemental to that and will drive some incremental sales for you guys.
Okay, Jeff, give me 1 second. We had another question come in from Anna and Sheila. What are the subject lines in emails going out? Bruce, I believe that depends on the email you select, right?
Yeah, so the subject lines will vary, and we're running all those through the LMA. And what we found is if we'll use a person's name, like Annie, important information about your expiring lease, and we direct it, to them about their expiring lease, and then when they open the email, it says, "Hey, this is the lease we're inquiring about. You got 7 payments left. Your payments, $198 a month, and your maturity date is, whatever it may be, March 31st. We're willing to help you, take care of a portion of those payments. Click on the button below, and we'll tell you how much we're willing to cover." Those type of things and that type of messaging. And we will experiment with those and kind of tweak those a bit, but that's what goes out, and everything is cleared with the LMA and Kelly, who's the president of the LMA as well.
I didn't pay attention, but is there a blind carbon copy on those emails when they send them out? I mean, you could probably do that to yourself a couple of times to get a comfort level about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah.
So, and we can even put anybody that wants to in the seed list, right? So, just so they can see what's coming.
Got it. Jeff, I'll let you comment on that. Jeff K, what thoughts you got? And Jeff has an answer, a partial answer to the previous question. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, it's like you and John said, it's all a numbers game. We got to make sure that we hit every single one of these customers. Don't get discouraged, because this is, again, a conquest campaign. These are people that you haven't worked with. So, it's going to take a lot of interaction and a lot of time for them to allow this message to break through to them. So you may not get them on the first time they pop an RPM lead. So just because they popped a lead and you sent them one email, that doesn't mean you should stop your follow-up process. They're a hot lead. So work them like any other inbound lead, website lead, an email from cars.com, anything. Walk through the steps with them. Just don't drop them because you sent them one email and you didn't hear back from them.
So Anna and Ann and Sheila, Jeff gave a good sampling of one. Lease pull forward subject line is early lease termination offer. And it's that sort of thing. It's relevant to that. Tracy, I imported the leads into my CRM to work through from this chat. I have to update this application. You may have to, Tracy. Yeah, if you get an additional, that's a good point, Bruce. Is there a way to delineate a date that a name was added to their database? So if somebody hypothetically exported the entire database today, and then next week they get refreshed and they maintain that original, let's say 1,000, and there was another 200 added, is there a way to delineate the new 200 names? I think, Tracy, that's the essence of your question. What do you think? What What do you think, Bruce?
So I need to check with my guys because when you just do an export to Excel, obviously you're just exporting what's in the system. To understand what's been added, I mean you'd be better off to push to bulk to CRM, because when you push to CRM, it's going to take everything that you've done in the portal and then would give you all the updates in the CRM. So in other words, if you had already downloaded 500 and we got another 700, then it would take all the 500, push them across, and then also push you the extra 200 across. But recognize that it will update the statuses that you've done in the portal, right? So if you just download an Excel spreadsheet, it doesn't really know what you've done.
Yeah, good point. And these CRMs can be tricky. We've had some issues. I mean, Bruce, you're probably aware of that. I'm going zone wide right now. There's 72 dealers. God, there's a bunch of different CRMs, and a few of them have backfired on us where we imported data and it duplicated customer records. So, we built a campaign of existing customers, 75. Now all 75 of them wound up with duplicate records. So I just think there's some hesitation at some of the locations in that regard, and that they're more comfortable pulling an Excel and then individually matching it up as they do the communication, individually dropping it into the existing record in the CRM. Again, that it depends on what they're using. So it's good. But Tracy, I hope that helped. I mean, it's good what you did. I guess I think the best thing is to look at the number you've got and then keep an eye on that. And if it's, again, hypothetically 1,000, next time you look in it, it's got 1,250, you've added 250 records. And the trick now is to delineate those 250. I don't know, Bruce, is that a correct thing to say?
That is correct. Yes, it is.
Good. What are the questions you got? I'm going to try to unmute everybody. We only got a few folks. Got 11 now. Not bad. So everybody's open right now. We got open mic night here. If you want to sing a little something, feel free to do that. I'm a Sinatra man myself. But any questions out there? Comments? Cool. All right. I think we're good, huh? What do you think, folks? I think we're pretty good here. I think we've accomplished the mission. Tracy, again, I hope we give me a call later if you need further clarification on that. But I think if you just keep an eye on it, we can certainly work with the folks at Pearl if it's getting mushy on who's new and who's not. I think you can get some support on that. I hope I'm not. Yeah, good. Hey, Tracy, good to hear. Bruce, I hope that's probably an accurate statement. Wouldn't you say?
I agree. Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Well, again, let me just, the few are still here. The thing about this program that I'm so hopeful about is we've gotten this data which we normally don't get, and these are people who are getting closer and closer each month to terminating a lease they've got. And we have a great opportunity, we have a deal, we have great product, and with the right communication, let's try to get them in for an appointment and get a test drive and see what happens, and it's going to be going on through January. So we got time, and just keep working it and keep an eye on those actionables, man. Keep an eye on those actionables. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. Jeff and John, any last thoughts? Are we good to go, man?
We are good to go, Kevin. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Yes, sir. Bruce. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Jeff.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Galen, happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Enjoy the turkey, man.
Same to you, my friend Kevin. Have a great one.
Yeah. So are you doing the traditional American Thanksgiving, Galen, or are you going to go Canadian style?
We did that in October. Going to do American style in November.
Love it, man. Love it. All right. Hey, Bruce, thank you, sir.
I'll probably talk to you before then, Kevin.
Love it. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Have a great day, everybody.
You too.